You're in the newsroom on CNN Philippines tonight. Outgoing Armed Forces Chief General Eduardo Año confirms to CNN Philippines ISIS gave the Maute Group more than $1 million to take over Marawi. From suspect to witness, a frat man comes clean and spills the details on the hazing death of UST law student Atio Castillo. And on-screen love team Enrique Hill and Liza Soberano spotted dating in Tagaytay. Good evening, I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Lieutenant General Rey Leonardo Guerrero is the new Chief of Staff. You're seeing a copy of the letter signed by President Rodrigo Duterte to Defense Chief Delfin Lorenzana. It states the approval of Guerrero's appointment effective today, October 25th. A change of command ceremony will happen tomorrow in Camp Aguinaldo in Quezon City. Lieutenant General Guerrero heads the Eastern Mindanao Command covering the Davao region. He graduated from the Philippine Military Academy in 1984. CNN Philippines spoke with General Año earlier by phone. He says Guerrero has all the qualities to be the new AFP chief.
He was assigned in the Special Forces before, and naging company commander siya, battalion commander, brigade commander, naging chief of staff siya ng Philippine Army, naging commander siya ng 3rd Infantry Division until he was appointed as commander of the Eastern Mindanao Command. He has been assigned in intelligence units before, in combat units. So really he has the complete what you call recipe of a professional combat and intelligence officer.
Año adds there's no word yet from the president regarding his possible appointment at the Department of the Interior and Local Government. The Maute Group received funding from global terror group ISIS. General Año confirmed this, saying ISIS sent at least $1.5 million for the Marawi siege.
It's also been confirmed by other foreign intelligence agencies. That actually triggered everything from migration or the transfer of Havilland space from Masilan to Butig, and then the grant planning and the final execution. They have to do it because they have to justify the financial support given to them by ISIS under al-Baghdadi.
Marawi residents displaced by the war are slowly being allowed to head back to the city. But there are still thousands of evacuees in temporary shelters. Sustaining supplies of relief goods proves to be more challenging each day. Our Rex Remito has this story.
Anisa Saumay and her 7 kids have been staying at the tent city in Pantar, 12 kilometers north of Marawi City, since the fighting broke out in May. In the first few weeks, relief goods were overflowing. But 5 months into the conflict, supplies have dwindled.
Sa ngayon na minsan sumusobra yung 1 week bago kayo makatanggap ng relief. Paano magkakasayon sa amin? Ang dami kong anak.
There are days when she has nothing to cook for her children. When they do receive relief goods, they sometimes lack basic items such as milk and sugar. The tent city's manager confirms there are delays in the delivery of government supplies.
Lately po, last week lang po, totoo naman po na medyo na-delay lang ng konti kasi nagkaubusan nga po ng supply.
DSWD officer in charge Emmanuel Leco, however, says food supplies for evacuation centers in Lanao provinces are still enough for the next 3 months. But he does admit sometimes they run short of several items.
Nagkaroon ng problema nung nakaraan dahil sa problema sa bigas. No? Pero ang arrangement namin ngayon, kung walang bigas, maglalagay kami ng noodles, maglalagay kami ng ibang...
He also says they need more medicines for evacuees, especially for fever and skin diseases. Task Force Bangon Marawi Executive Director Cesar Llano hopes the military soon gives the all-clear for the remaining evacuees to return home as soon as possible.
Patagal ng patagal yung displacement kasi, bumibigat yung requirements nila. Even sa pagkain, nagsawa na rin sila sa pagkain na binibigay ng gobyerno.
But what will happen to the evacuees once they return to Marawi? How will they survive when utilities have yet to be restored and basic needs like food and jobs are scarce? Some of them say, for now, the alternative is to stay put in the evacuation centers. In Lanao del Norte, Rex Remitio, CNN, Philippines.
It's a bittersweet homecoming for some troops from Marawi. They're leaving the war-torn city and keeping the memories of their fallen comrades. Even Police Chief Bato de la Rosa can't help but be emotional. Our Makoy Popioco has the story.
PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa gets emotional while welcoming the Special Action Force or SAF troopers who just came back from Marawi City. De La Rosa held back tears as he thanked the troopers for their heroism.
Ini-imagine ko yung pamilya niyo habang kayo nandoon. Kung ano na lang yung kailang naramdaman. Kaya ngayon, andito na kayo. Ang laki na pasalamat ko. Pasalamat ako. Kay Lord, na kayo nakabalik.
It was also a heartwarming reunion between the SAF troopers and their families. After almost 5 months of fighting in Marawi City since May, Elias Jego is reunited with his family. He requested not to reveal his identity for security reasons.
Salamat sa sir, sa mga suporta nila sa amin, pagbigay ng mga relief, mga pagkain ba, mga damit, medyas.
Ano po bang ibig sabihin para sa mga sundalong
Hindi ba sir, nakakatamad magtrabaho.
Diego is a war veteran. He fought against the communist rebels in Compostela Valley in 1996 and clashed with Abu Sayyaf bandits in Basilan in 2001. But he confesses that Marawi has been his most difficult battle so far.
Marami na akong encounter rin mga NPA, Basilan, Bicol, Masbate. Iba dito sir, ibang labanan, araw-gabi.
His wife Gabriela, not her real name, is overwhelmed with feelings of pride and relief upon her husband's safe return.
Lagi naman pong ganyan. Kailangan po mga asawa laging matatag lang. Masaya po kasi binigyan silang parangal para sa bayan. Ipagtanggol nila yung bayan natin.
Diego is one of the 182 SAF troopers who fought in Marawi City that were given a hero's welcome at Camp Bagong Diwa. Troopers who were wounded were given the PNP Wounded Personnel Medal, while the rest were awarded with the PNP Medal of Heroism. All of them were also promoted a rank higher. Of the nearly 500 SAF troopers deployed to Marawi City, 4 were killed in action. PO3 Alexis Mangaldan, PO1 Moises Kimayum Jr., PO2 Alexis Lorente, and PO2 Daniel Taba Antegua. These fallen men were each given a posthumous award and also promoted a rank higher. The troopers that returned safely from Marawi City will eventually continue their service to their country. But for now, to get their bearings back and fully enjoy their family's company, De La Rosa has announced a month-long paid vacation break, a humble and well-deserved treat for these valiant men in uniform. Makoy Popioco, CNN, Philippines.
More local news later. Here are some top stories from around the world. Chinese President Xi Jinping secures a second 5-year term as the country's leader. The 64-year-old Xi is expected to dominate China's politics for years to come. This as he unveils the new lineup for the party's all-powerful Politburo Standing Committee without an apparent heir. The announcement follows the end of the Communist Party National Congress, the biggest event in China's political calendar. Saudi Arabia's crown prince vows to destroy extremist ideologies in a bid to return to a more moderate Islam. Speaking at a Future Investment Initiative conference in Riyadh, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said this will put the kingdom at pace with many other nations as it seeks to transform its economy in the coming decades. The prince said he wants Saudis to lead normal lives where, quote, religion and traditions translate into tolerance. This, he said, will lead to the kingdom becoming part of the world's development. Thais slept in the streets of Bangkok Wednesday to reserve a spot along the route of the funeral parade of Thai King Bhumibol Adulyadej. Millions are expected to join the 5-day funeral ceremony of the world's longest reigning monarch. On Thursday, as the king's body will be moved to the royal crematorium. The king, who commanded great love and respect within Thailand for 70 years, died on October 13 last year at the age of 88. We're hearing for the first time details on what happened during the hazing rites of law student Atio Castillo, straight from the testimony of a suspect turned witness. And a visiting Chinese e-commerce mogul hits the country's internet speed. Jack Ma says it's no good. Those stories and more when Newsroom returns. Good evening to all of you joining us here on Facebook Live. Coming up for you in the next segment of the Newsroom, we have new details on the hazing death of UST law student Atio Castillo. A new suspect has emerged and is providing new information on that. Also, updates on the case against Senator Laila De Lima. We also have Cecil Larrizabal, who will be telling us about the 2016 Bangladesh heist. If you remember that, $81 billion was funneled through the Philippines and taken from the Bangladesh Central Bank. So an update on that, as well as business news coming for you. And also Chinese billionaire Jack Ma, who is in the Philippines. Some words from him on our internet speed. He's here for a few activities, so we'll tell you more about that. More stories coming your way, so stay tuned for that. And again, we are getting a lot of greetings here on Facebook Live. We like hearing from you, so keep sending in your comments on the stories and let us know where you're watching from. Mers Lumpot is watching from Hong Kong, Abby Usman from Dubai, Oscar Osias from Toronto, Canada, Rory Concepcion from San Diego, California, Grace Pascua from Kentucky, USA, Mika Cabañas is watching from Boston, USA, Hannes Policarpio from Alberta, Canada, Faith Suwan from Davao City. Also, we have Remy Gordon-Smith watching from Cambridge, United Kingdom, and says praying for the Philippines. Arlene Silvestre watching from Singapore, Luis Maranan watching from East Borneo. Josefino Damaico says, thank you, General Anyo. We also have, and Aisha de los Santos Las Pinas is watching from Vietnam. Teng Katong says he's watching from UP Los Baños and says congratulations to the ASEAN Philippines. Let's help in bringing back a better Marawi and a drugs-free Ranao. Ronel Piamonte is watching from the USA. Vlad de Ramos says General Anyo did a good job in Marawi. Moralista Dakshayani is watching from Singapore. Sally Wansliban Wakan says good afternoon from the Netherlands. Stay with us until the end of the show. You're back in the newsroom on CNN Philippines. All eyes on a hazing suspect turned state witness in what could be the unraveling of what really happened the day law student Atio Castillo died. More than a month after Atio's death, Aegis Juris Fraternity member Mark Ventura reveals to justice officials details of the hazing rites. Here's Anjo Alimario with that story.
4 hours. That's how long University of Santo Tomas law student Horacio Atio Castillo had to endure severe beating at the fraternity initiation rites before he lost consciousness. This is what Aegis Juris Fraternity member Mark Ventura reveals in his affidavit. Ventura is a respondent in Atio's murder case. He admits he was the master initiator 2 at Atio's hazing, while Axel Hipe was master initiator 1.
Yung linaw ng kanyang deklarasyon, even without any corroborative testimony, I believe that his statement will stand in court.
Ventura says Atio's hazing began around 1 in the morning of September 17th. The first phase, punching of his arms until they were swollen. It lasted an hour.
There are about more than 10 who punch him dito sa kanyang braso, and meron silang term na hanggat hindi pumuputok yung kanyang braso ay tuloy-tuloy lang sila.
After that, they used a spatula. Then came the paddle.
Dapat mga 10 paddle lang. For the leader of the batch, magiging 11. But pag nagsosolo ka, you will be given 11 paddles.
Atio did not last until the 11th paddle.
A third paddle against Atio Tinanong pa siya kung siya ay kaya pa niya. Sumagot pa ata si Acho na kaya pa niya. But in the fourth paddle, hindi na niya kaya and he collapsed already.
But then Acho regained consciousness, so they hit him a fifth time, causing Acho to totally collapse. But the initiation did not end there.
Merong nagsuggest na patuluan ng kandila para malaman nang talagang magre-respond sila dun sa pain ng candle, what do you call this? Droppings, ano?
Ventura says the initial plan was to bring Acho to the Jose Reyes Memorial Medical Center. But when their broad and licensed medical technologist John Paul Solano arrived,
binaba ulit nila si Acho and they tried to revive him. Meron siyang tinurok pa no? Para ma-revive lang.
When that failed, they decided to take him to the Chinese General Hospital. Acho was declared dead on arrival. Ventura is now under the Justice Department's Witness Protection Program. As a witness, charges against him, which include murder, will be dropped. The next hearing on Acho's death is on October 30th. Anjoli Mario, CNN Philippines.
Now we have this exclusive story here on CNN Philippines. Prosecutors are amending charges against Senator Laila De Lima before the Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court Branch 205. From directly trading and selling illegal drugs, they're now accusing De Lima of conspiracy to commit the crime. The prosecution added the phrase, decide and agree to commit illegal drug trading in the charge sheet. This means the senator can still be charged with a crime even without direct involvement. They argue they can still amend the information ahead of De Lima's arraignment. De Lima's lawyers say the amendment is a, quote, shotgun method of political persecution in the guise of prosecution. The senator will be arraigned on November 24th. Since the heist of $81 million from the Bangladesh Central Bank in 2016, only a fraction has been returned and no arrests have been made. The money was found in a Makati bank and laundered in Philippine casinos. Authorities say the strict bank secrecy law makes it difficult to go after perpetrators. Our senior correspondent Cecil Ardizabal tells us the country's Anti-Money Laundering Council issues rules that now include casinos under its supervision to prevent money laundering and terrorist financing.
Casinos will now require all players to present valid identification before opening an account or redeeming casino chips into cash. Identification details ranging from name, place of birth, present and permanent addresses to your nature of work. Name of employer and source of funds must also be provided. If casino players are foreigners, they are required to present a valid passport and alien certificate of registration. Another new provision is Rule 5, which requires casinos to develop sound risk management practices, and Rule 7, which requires casinos to keep records of all casino transactions for at least 5 years. Anti-Money Laundering Council Chairman and BSP Governor Nestor Espinilla explains,
The regulation and the law is addressed to casino operators to behave in a certain way in line with the anti-money laundering expectations.
Since Bangladesh's $81 million was siphoned into RCBC and later spent via casinos, only about $15 million has been recovered and returned. Senate Committee on Banks Chairman Cheese Escudero welcomes the new rule on stricter identification and reporting of transactions by casinos.
Ayon sa Asia Pacific Group ng FATF, malaking puwang yan na hindi nila natatrack o nasusundan kaugnay sa pagmamonitor ng money laundering sa buong mundo.
Just recently, International Watchdog Against Dirty Money, the Asia Pacific Group on Money Laundering, removed the Philippines from the list of countries it is closely monitoring. Cecil Ardizabal, CNN Philippines.
Alibaba founder Jack Ma visits President Rodrigo Duterte at Malacanang today. The Chinese billionaire is in the country for a series of talks and to promote a mobile payment system. Prior to meeting with Duterte, one of the first things Ma did upon arriving in the country was to test the speed of Philippine internet.
I arrived late last night and I tried to test the speed of Philippine. It's no good. And I encourage its government, entrepreneurs, everybody that will work together to improve the speed and coverage of the internet. If we're not covering the internet it's going to be worse than just like 100 years ago. Our cities, our country is not connected.
Ma was given a Doctor of Science in Technopreneurship by the De La Salle University. His Alibaba Group provides fundamental technology infrastructure and marketing to help entrepreneurs and businesses engage with their customers online. The Trade Department estimates the country is short of 2.5 million construction workers to do the massive build projects of the government. It adds the bigger challenge is teaching the workers basic construction skills. With this, the Trade Department is giving free training through TESDA.
Actually, the basic, yung zero knowledge, is carpentry, masonry, formworks installation, equipment operation, plumbing, electrical.
To shore up the construction workforce, the government is now considering making TESDA participants stay in the country for 2 years before they can move abroad. All Saints and All Souls Days are just a week away. Skyway NAIA Expressway, South Luzon Expressway, and Star Tollway roll out its Oplan Ligtas Biyahe Undas 2017 to ensure the safety and convenience of motorists heading to cemeteries in southern Metro Manila and their home provinces in the south. The program would be activated together with the Metro Manila Development Authority, the Philippine National Police, and the Highway Patrol Group. Ligtas Biyahe motorist assistance stations will also be set up in select areas. The South Tollway operators are advising motorists to plan their trips and keep their vehicles in excellent running condition to avoid problems on the road. Is on-screen love team in Tagaytay? And we'll tell you how internet darling Scarlett Snow Bello is drawing raves on social media after the break. You're watching Newsroom on CNN Philippines. Good evening to all of you joining us here on Facebook Live. Coming up for you in the final segment of the Newsroom, entertainment news. We are getting a lot of greetings and we love doing that. I wish I could read them all, so I'll read as many as I can. Eddie Woznicki III is watching from Colorado, USA and says, thank you, CNN Philippines, for Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us here. Luz Viminda Mupas is watching from Great Britain. Byron Rion Messina from Geneva, Switzerland. Cesar Merin Palacio from Jubail. Lilibeth Liguden from Novaliches, Tomas Bitos from Israel, Azil Itzki from Sweden, Charlie Gagates watching from Ecuador, Ray Soriano from Venice, Italy, Rogelia Limbaros watching from Najran, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Zaira de los Santos from Thailand, Gigi Shapiro from Long Island, New York, USA, Alvin Quejado from Sapalibutad, Pampanga. I hope I said that correctly. We also have Gilbert Malinaw watching from Brunei, Darussalam. Belle Booker from Kuwait. Mary Jane Domingo from Hong Kong. We also have Klaus Ariola, who says, in behalf of the OFWs, please give our gratitude to all staff and AFP for bringing peace to our lands. This is from the OFWs in Singapore. Yan Toy is watching from Cebu City. Richard Lactaon from Hawaii. Also, Rom Lim is watching from Toronto. Jensen Hermiosa is watching from Laguna. Rogelio Limbaro says, thanks for giving me news worldwide, watching from Najranska. Jojo Noble is watching from Washington, D.C. So more stories coming your way. Stay with us until the break. And remember, check CNNPhilippines.com for more stories. Welcome back. The operator of the country's power grid says energy demand rises 5 to 8% per year. With the government's ambitious infrastructure plan, are our energy reserves enough to meet a bigger requirement? Watch this.
Anyone who's lined up for a government permit knows it can take hours, if not days. Now, multiply that, not by weeks or months, but years. Putting up a new power plant can be a test of patience. All in all, a power plant needs a whopping 162 clearances and 102 permits. On average, it can take half a decade before the process is completed. One lawmaker wants to speed things up a little. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is chair of the Senate Energy Committee and author to several critical bills for the industry. The Energy Virtual One-Stop Shop, or EVOS, will be the universal portal for all power plant applications in the country. The website will let you submit all your documents electronically, monitor the status, and pay all your fees online. More importantly, the bill sets deadlines for government offices to act on the permits.
We will also mandate the different agencies a specific time frame lang. If this agency is given 30 days to approve a specific permit, if you don't approve it within the 30 days period, it's deemed approved.
Gatchalian wants the entire process done in 1.5 years at most.
Due process will also be maintained, but we have to have a time frame for due process. Hindi pwedeng one to sawa in due process because that will really hurt the supply of new power coming into the system.
The Philippines knows the consequences of having too little power. Experts warn that if power plants keep getting stalled, we could see those dark days again.
Yun ngang sinasabing for every 100 megawatt shortage ng capacity would mean 1 hour rotational brownout.
According to Roberto Jimenez of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, demand for energy increases by 5 to 8% every year. With the current reserves at only 5 to 10%, it's only a matter of time before reserves will be completely depleted and no power will be left in case of emergencies. Senator Gatchalian agrees.
You run the risk of having red alerts, yellow alerts, all these alerts that you hear in the news. This is because the reserves are very thin. So ang gusto natin, mas maraming reserves in the system.
And when Powering the Future returns tomorrow, we look at ways to find energy that's sustainable, stable, and affordable. Is romance in the air for on-screen love team Enrique Hill and Liza Soberano or Liz Ken? On Instagram, they give fans a peek of their date night at a scenic restaurant in Tagaytay City. Enrique took a break from promoting his new movie, 7 Sundays, to grab dinner with his on-screen partner, Liza, Tuesday night. The two are all smiles as they dine by candlelight. Halloween came early for little Scarlett Snow Beloco. Check out these photos of Scarlett Snow turning heads in her Audrey Hepburn costume. In the pictures, we see her all dressed up as Holly Golightly, Audrey's iconic character from the film Breakfast at Tiffany's. The adorable little girl was all smiles as she walked around the mall in her costume. Scarlett Snow is the daughter of celebrity doctors Vicky Bello and Hayden Ko. And that's a newsroom for you this evening. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Thanks for watching. Good night.